Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show where we look at the highs and the lows from the football weekend just past from around the world. Joining me in the hot seat, it's our political correspondent, it's DJ Elab.
God, I don't know if I've been called that before.
No Joe today, this topic is far too serious for him. We're kicking off with a talking point. It's Manchester City, of course. It can be no one else today. This is probably the biggest story of the season so far. What on earth has happened? Hold on. There's going to be some alleged Liz. There's going to be some reported Liz. Some supposed Liz. All right, because it's not entirely clear yet, but we know one thing is clear. Someone's been banned from the Champions League.
Yes, the Premier League reigning champions have been banned from the Champions League until 2022. They've also been fined £25 million and could face further punishment from the Premier League if they are found guilty of similar things to the Premier League's FFP rulings. Now, if you don't know what FFP means, it means financial fair play, and it was originally brought in to eradicate what Platini called financial doping. Basically, a team outspending their means. Ultimately, teams need to balance football-related expenditure, like on wages or on transfers of players, with things like ticket sales, TV revenue, etc. Now, it's been calculated, or it is calculated, over 3-year periods. So, say from this year, 2022, will go to 2023, and the next year will be 2021 to 2024. The latest cycle dictates that clubs couldn't suffer losses of more than £25 million, which would be the case here. And just to be clear, money spent on stadiums, training grounds, youth development, etc. are all exempt. But Hamel, how are City taking it at the moment?
Well, they're still publicly protesting their innocence in the strongest possible terms, actually, saying that the evidence they have to back their case is irrefutable. Wow, pretty good word, that. What that evidence is, so to speak, remains unclear. In fact, a club spokesperson for Manchester City said that they're disappointed but not surprised was their reaction. So they've been bracing themselves for something like this for quite some time, it would seem, insisting a decision had already been made late in 2018 before the investigation began. They've used terms like kangaroo courts, like a loaded equation, so to speak. Now, this is the atomic bomb. It's the most severe punishment that the CFCB can hand out. The CFCB being the club financial control body. Manchester City will now lodge an appeal with CAS, that's the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which is a separate institution that doesn't belong to any, FIFAs or UEFAs, to overturn the ruling. But before we kind of press on with what this means for the squad, for Pep, which is I'm sure what everyone is interested in back home, what have they actually done or been accused of?
Allegedly, there's the first one, the main issues regard concealing payments and conflating sponsorship deals in order to meet FFP's criteria. Accusations brought into the public domain by Football Leaks and German magazine Der Spiegel. And according to The Athletic, City insists they haven't acted differently to other top clubs and will now seek clarification on the finances of clubs such as PSG and Juventus. Now, City have been in hot water with the CFCB before, hence the increasing frosty relations with UEFA. They were fined £49 million back in 2014 for similar reasons, £32 million of which was suspended. They also had their UCL squad limited to just 21 for the 14-15 season after suffering losses of £149 million over 2 years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Right, so that's all the kind of jargon out of the way. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more context back home. Now let's kind of deal with the ramifications of that decision and all these hypothetical scenarios, because a lot of people are just saying, okay, City are really rich. Let's weather the storm for 2 years at the very least. Maybe 12 months of it gets suspended, and we only serve a 12-month ban. Well, Zacharias, the club only posted profits of £10.1 million last year. This was after a £77 million windfall in the UCL, really emphasising that they need Champions League football. The whole infrastructure of that club is geared towards participating in Europe's elite competition because they need that payday, don't they? At least to keep the squad together. It's either stay in the Champions League or downgrade the squad and become less competitive on all those fronts that they've been striving for years. You can't have your cake and eat it, I think, is what UEFA are saying. So, essentially, they are a club that need that competition to balance the books. it also opens up a bit of a can of worms regarding clauses in contracts, bonuses, sponsorship deals, etc. We're not going to get into that today, but it is something we'll be keeping an eye on as things progress. What happens next, though, for the club's personnel, at least in the immediate future?
Well, the club contacted the players' agents on Friday to reassure them of their position, apparently asking that the team stay off social media. Now, Pep seems defiant, reportedly telling his squad at a meeting on Saturday that now more than ever, we have to show them we are not money, we are talent. The Athletic, what a man as well. If he walked into the changing room and was telling you this, it'd be fantastic. You'd believe him. Anyway, the
What
Athletic...
year this would be, by the way, for that All or Nothing programme?
Oh, man.
Imagine getting that behind the scenes.
The Athletic report that privately he has insisted he's not leaving the club until his contract expires until 2021. However, will the same be true for the club's superstars? Aguero and Leroy Sané's contracts expire in 2021. Stones and Otamendi a year later. De Bruyne, Ederson, Silva, Sterling, Mahrez are all contracted beyond that point. However, lawyer John Merzad thinks if the ban is upheld, the players could argue breach of contract, leading to an exodus, citing Rangers as an example. Now, it's either this or players' agents seek to bump up their contracts without the UCL bonuses.
Renegotiate a bumper deal, yeah.
In terms of like the Sterlings, Edersons, it's not as worrying because they're on longer contracts, but for someone like Aguero or Sane, how do you think City fans should be feeling right now?
Well, I think Sane, they've probably come to terms with him leaving already, haven't they? If Bayern are still interested, he'll probably go to Bayern, although will they be willing to deal with Europe's elite clubs after this, given that they're the ones that are kind of, like Javier Tebas, for example, the president of La Liga, was saying it's about time, better late than never. I think there is this whole like new rich versus old rich kind of dynamic embedded within this. The new rich clubs being PSG, Man City, clubs that have fast-tracked their progress versus clubs that have had favourable terms in the past,
Barcelona,
like Chelsea, being able to write off Abramovich's debts. The Glazers, saddle the club with debts, but FFP now is about sustainability, not debt. It was originally supposed to be about debt. So that it complicates matters.
Yeah.
Going back to playing personnel, Sergio Aguero, if you say to him, after 9 years of service, you're going to wind up, not playing in the Champions League until 34 again, there's probably grounds for him to push for a move, and I think he'd probably be able to leave still with the fans' support. Exactly. So maybe he's the one that poses sort of an immediate danger. Pep is the big one. If they can keep him for another year, if they can reduce this sentence to 12 months and keep Pep for that 12 months, I don't see it being too much of a problem. And they have enough money to kind of keep everyone sweet behind the scenes, don't they? But I do think a 2-year dynamic changes it massively because of the World Cup. Players are going to want that stage, aren't they, in order to impress for their national sides or impress for selection in the build-up to that. So that could be a factor too. But I think largely, having sewn up the contracts beforehand, they're gonna be okay. But it will be really interesting to see if it's 1 or 2 years, or if it's just reduced to a hefty fine. I think only that CAS ruling can really clear things up. What do you guys think? Let us know your thoughts on the matter in the comments below, because my oh my, what a way to steal Liverpool's thunder. Right, back to usual matters at hand then, and on to our first winners, who are Liverpool, suggested by @ZachKingdom, Lord of the Discord. And if you want to join the FD's Discord, get in the comments below. Went in there for 20 minutes on Sunday, said hello, tried to work out the layout, couldn't really do it, felt really old. People were like, sending emojis of like, Sav in there. I was like, this is a very alien world. What happened with Liverpool and Norwich?
Well, Liverpool beat Norwich, unsurprisingly, 1-0 at Carrow Road to go 25 points clear at the top of the Premier League. However, the Canaries threatened to hold the Reds to just their second draw of the season before substitute Sadio Mane, who made a ridiculous touch. If you've not seen it, please go and have a look. Type into YouTube. It's unbelievable, and an excellent weak foot finish as well with just 12 minutes left of the game. Now, he was in the squad for the first time in 3 games. The Senegalese forward marked his return with his 100th goal in English football, It was his 57th Premier League strike for Liverpool and his first off of the bench. But it probably should have been easier. Liverpool were totally dominant with 64% possession and 17 shots to the host 5. An XG read 2.06 to 0.38 in their favour. And Klopp was full of praise for his team performance after the game. Here's what he said.
The mentality of the boys is absolutely exceptional. So I could see it in each of their faces.
Yes, it was yet another terrible day at the office for Norwich, who have now just won 1 of their last 13 Premier League games, drawing 7 and losing 5. They're 7 points off safety, Deej. And like you said, wasn't the best performance here. Daniel Farke's side failed to attempt a single shot in the first half, which is not embarrassing against Liverpool, let's have it right. But it's the first time they've done so in a league game since 2014. And this performance was typified in many ways by the individual performance of Teemu Pukki, who had to wait until the final 5 minutes to get his first and only shot of the game. That is a tough shift, isn't it? For comparison, Trent Alexander-Arnold had 3 efforts on goal from right back. The silver lining, I suppose, in this game was that Todd Cantwell put in an impressive display, let's say. 1 shot, 2 key passes, 2 dribbles with a 67% success rate, 4 tackles with an 80% success rate, really coming to the fore creatively in the absence of Buendia, who came on in this game. But man of the match was Naby Keita, who made his first start in this game since Boxing Day, and the former Leipzig man, all action in this 90, looking a lot like his old self, winning 5 of his attempted tackles. That was the most on the pitch, and also winning 2 aerial duels, creating a chance and taking 3 shots. So just an absolute boost. Liverpool now turn their attention to Atletico Madrid tomorrow night before hosting West Ham next Monday. Now, of the current top 6, Chelsea and Man City are the only teams left that they have to play, and they're just 5 wins away from wrapping up the title. Norwich, meanwhile, face Wolves, Leicester and Sheffield United in their next 3 league games. So a really tough run of fixtures for them. Are they as good as down, or can you see them surviving? Let us know in the comments below. For me, it's a foregone conclusion, isn't it? Bang, Canaries.
Just before we move on to our first losers, if you're not already subscribed to Football Daily, what are you doing? Please smash that red button and the notification bell so you never miss a video. Hashtag FD2mil 2020. It's the time, baby. It's happening. Whoop, whoop. But the loser suggestion comes from @Neef_K8, and they have said Aston Villa. Why is that? How the animal?
It was a Bjorn Engels disaster class, wasn't it, Deej? Gifting Spurs 3 points. And now the Lily Whites have 3 wins on the bounce for the first time this season under their belts. And despite it being quite an attritional affair, there were large periods of the game where it felt quite even. XG had the game at 3.7 to 1.7, showing that Spurs were far more decisive. Of course, that does include Son's pen and rebound, which accounts for around 1.36 of that XG. So aside from that, a little bit more even than maybe the numbers would lead you to believe. Douglas Luiz as well, missing a glorious chance to put the home side in front after 17 minutes. But after that, Spurs did rack up an okay amount of shots, putting 10 on target to Villa's 4. Bjorn Engels, just to go back to him, he went from villain to hero, back to villain. And not to confuse villain with Aston Villa's nickname, all right? Conceding a penalty, scoring the equaliser before inexplicably missing the ball to allow Son free rein at goal in the dying moments, kicking off the Football Daily group chat. George Wright absolutely seething. Now, Son's goal after 93 minutes and 34 seconds is Spurs' latest winning goal in the Premier League since August 2009. And with a 5th place finish in the Premier League, now potentially spelling Champions League football, it could be a seminal moment in the season. This important win, 9 points on the bounce. Like we said, they are coming for Chelsea.
No, they're not. They are not.
Imagine that, last day of the season, Jose lifting the 5th place trophy at the bridge. Anyway, the South Korean had a great game in this game, just to go back to matters at hand, penalty miss aside. 2 goals coming from 6 shots on target from his 7 attempts in total, while also creating 2 chances for his teammates. He also became the first Asian player to hit 50 Premier League goals. Clap, 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 clap. Son, however, thought he had a bit of a stinker.
Yeah, we didn't give up, and I felt very bad because I had a couple of chances to score the goal, and yeah, finally in the last second I scored the winning goal. It's make me very, very happy, but I think the lads deserve the win, I think.
Now it's not looking good for Dean Smith, as his side have now lost 8 of their last 12 Premier League games. They can now fall into the relegation zone if City's week of misery continues and they somehow fail to beat West Ham.
Can't see that happening.
There is one small shining light. A man by the name of Jack Grealish.
Best hair in the Premier League? Quite possibly. Quite possibly.
Sure. He's had a direct hand in 13 goals in the Premier League this season, 7 goals and 6 assists, 5 more than the next best Villa player, and 3 more than any other English midfielder.
Hashtag Euros 2020.
Indeed. Oh, if he's not there, it's a travesty. An interesting stat here, though, from Opta. There have been 6 instances of a player creating 5+ chances and being fouled 5+ times in the same Premier League game this season, with Jack Grealish accounting for 4 of those.
He's everywhere.
He's unbelievable. Where he goes, we'll see. But then 5 dribbles meant nothing to Dean Smith, who was livid after the VAR decision gave Spurs the pen.
Well, I made of it that nobody in this stadium thought that it was a penalty, including the player who went down. Bjorn Engels has slid in. Is there some contact? Yeah, possibly. He's blocked the shot. Nobody thinks it's a penalty. So the criteria that I've been told is clear and obvious. If it takes 2 minutes, that's not clear and obvious. So we're sat in a sterile environment, looking at something that everybody in a stadium of 42,000 people, our staff, their staff, don't think it's a penalty. So why Martin doesn't just walk over to the monitor and have a look and go, yeah, I'm right, goal kick, let's play on.
Our final winners are Arsenal, worthy winners as well after that second half performance, and it comes from Georgios_Kiriaki.
Ooh. Is that the source? Kiriaki?
What? What's happening right now? What source are you talking about?
Oh, anyway, the Gunners win their first Premier League game in 5 attempts as they remain unbeaten in the league in 2020. Mikel Arteta was just the second Arsenal manager to win only one of his 5-7 league games in charge of the club after Steve Burtonshaw in 1986. Stats. Luckily then for Arsenal, Newcastle seemed to be a guaranteed win, with the home team beating them in 13 of their last 14 games against the Magpies. And after a dour first half, it was a convincing 4-0 win, with an XG of 3.1 to 0.9 in favour, summing up the dominant display. Aubameyang got the opener with a lovely cross by Nicolas Pepe, who ended up with 2 assists and a goal to his name. He's now contributing to a league goal every 158 minutes. Saka set him up, and the 18-year-old left winger, who's been playing at left back, was on fire and deservedly was man of the match. An assist, 6 dribbles, including a nutmeg, and 2 tackles and interceptions deservedly gave him the award. Here's a clip with him and Aubameyang reacting to his nutmeg.
A cheeky little nutmeg, great piece of skill. Whoops. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, so watching this game is what I spent my Sunday afternoon doing it. And you know what? Worth it just for the way that Dani Ceballos passes a ball. He treats the ball better than most people treat each other. Absolutely delightful footballer. And I think they should be doing everything they can to keep hold of him because he's great in that double pivot, isn't he? I think Xhaka he was good in this game, but I think he could have been sacrificed a little bit earlier from more forward-thinking midfielder, although eventually, worked it pretty well in the end, didn't they? But Ceballos, my oh my, if he can maintain this sort of form, what a player he'll be for them in the last 10 games. Although, I think Ozil's goal really pointed towards a more cohesive team setup. Arsenal looked in harmony. That was me being a conductor. Arteta is the conductor on the sideline, and he's got them playing good team football. There were 35 passes in the build-up for Mesut Ozil's goal versus Newcastle, making it 10 passes more than any goal scored in the Premier League this season.
Wow.
With all 11 Arsenal players getting involved at least once. And that was Zach's. That's a genuine wow.
That's actually pretty good.
That sounded sarcastic. It wasn't. The last time a team had more passes leading to a goal in the league was Manchester City versus Manchester United in November 2018 when I believe it was 44. Jeez. Good luck getting past that record. Arsenal now have a positive goal difference for the first time since the start of November. What is going on? And with a kind run of fixtures, I think 4 of the next 5 teams from the bottom half, max points could see them inexplicably in the hunt for 5th spot, which is, of course, now Champions League football as it stands. Now, here's what captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang had to say about his manager and their new way of playing after the game.
Yeah, we feel better. We have an idea of playing. It's very clear. So yeah, we will try to maintain this level, and yeah, we're happy to keep going like this.
And finally, we move on to our loser, that is Southampton. Coming from @SeekForTheGod, an FD legend.
Big up yourself.
But why is that @CP Hamill?
Yeah, well, after building them up in recent weeks, after they put together some fine form, Southampton have now lost back-to-back games following a 2-1 defeat to Burnley on Saturday. Now, the Clarets took the lead after 90 seconds in bizarre circumstances. Ashley Westwood scoring directly from a corner, thanks in equal measure, I guess, to Danny Ings ducking out the way and a bit of Storm Dennis in there, the menace. Danny Ings, who else, then equalises after 18 minutes, and Jack Stevens hits the bar with a header, so they deserve to be in the game. But the Saints couldn't fully capitalise on this small period of dominance before Vidros stole all 3 points for the visitors on the hour mark with that fine left-footed strike. What an effort. Good. And where's he been for the last 18 months? Languishing in the Championship. But the MVP here, hardly an enthralling encounter, got to say, only watched the highlights. Just 10 shots for Southampton, 9 for Burnley. That's probably not bad for Burnley. Dyche's men led the XG with 0.9 to 0.48. That is when you need to take a long, hard look at yourself. And Sean Dyche edges you on expected goals.
Yeah, it was understandably a very scrappy game. And the most entertaining factor was Storm Dennis. But Ben Mee topped Burnley's passing accuracy ranks with just 77%. That shows you how scrappy it was. In fact, their pass accuracy was only 61%.
Pump it long to Chris Wood.
And Southampton's wasn't any better at 74%,
that is
despite Hassan Hotel's side completing more than twice the amount of Burnley's passing. Westwood, though, picked up man of the match. He won 4 tackles, he made 2 interceptions, created 2 chances, and scored with his only shot on target. If you can call it a shot.
Generous,
I don't know, yeah, it's generous.
Very generous.
Now, Southampton's outstanding player was probably Ryan Bertrand. 2 tackles, 1 interception, 3 aerial duels, 1. Now, next weekend, Southampton...
Does that qualify you as an outstanding player for a side?
It tells you how boring the game was.
Wow.
Just watch the goals, that's all you need to see. Next weekend, though, Southampton face Villa at home, and Burnley host Bournemouth. 6-pointers, some would say.
Yeah, definitely for Bournemouth.
Definitely for Villa.
And for Villa. Those 2 sides are probably comfortable now after early season scares, aren't they? That's it on this week's winners and losers. We're going to wrap the show there with perhaps the most boring game of the weekend. Yeah. And had it not been the winter break, that definitely wouldn't have been included. Zach, you got anything to plug across the 2 channels?
Why not check out Eurofootball Daily if you'd like to see ERU, where we cover European football, like Lazio and RB Leipzig.
They are European clubs, can clarify that.
And why not subscribe to Football Daily? Because FD 2022 mil. It's happening. It's only happening if you guys help us.
Are you making this a thing?
I'm going to make it a thing.
Road to 2 mil.
I'm going to make it a thing. Thank you guys always for your support.
Toot, toot.
We love you always.
Bye.
Like the video. Bye.